Hi guys, so today is one of those big videos. I haven't made a big video like this in a while. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's big because of the dense material that's in here. So regardless of what you believe, this is just from a book, okay? So don't even start it with me. This is from a book that I read. I haven't done a video like this in a while. For all the people that follow me for the spiritual books or spiritual content, you're gonna have a field day with this one, because this one was a really good book actually. A lot of it was confusing at times, with like the densities and the dimensions. It's very confusing, but I think I got like the meat and the potatoes for you, like some of the most important stuff. There's still so much that I'm not covering that you have to read though, so I recommend reading the book. I found it online for free. I'm not going to give you the link for it. You can do it yourself. It's not that hard. And obviously, like, aliens are real, ETs are real. If you've been following my channel for a while, like, there's irrefutable proof of it. And if you don't have that proof yet, then I think it's your job to look for it, because no one gave it to me like in a silver spoon. I sought it out myself. So I'm not going to do you the disservice of just giving you the answers to the test when there's so much fun in the journey of like discovering, because you could probably find a lot of things that I've never found, you know? So I'm not going to do that for you, because that's just not what I'm going to do. So the book is called Voyagers by Ashayana Deane. I think that's how you say her name. So it looks like this. Voyagers. So that's the book. This is volume 1, The Sleeping Abductees. And then like all my other videos that I do on like spirituality, I just write down literally verbatim from the book, and I just read it out loud to you guys, because I think sharing it will really, really help you a lot just with life in general. So this is all from the book. This is not from my thoughts. I was physically taken from my bed at night and transported to a silent spacecraft, escorted by a trio of identical gray beings. During my encounters with the Greys, I was subjected to frightening experiences and medical procedures that I did not understand. Aboard the alien craft, I learned that the Greys worked in subordination to various other types of non-human beings. In positions of authority were ominous creatures that resembled large, upright insects, similar in structure to spiders and wingless moths. The administrators who directed the activities of this menagerie were tall, black-robed beings with heavily boned faces and deep blue skin. Many years later, I would understand that this plethora of zoological wonders represented various subspecies within an ET interdimensional race based primarily in the Orion star system. In their dealings with Earth, they are known as the Zeta Reticuli, their primary race strain being the blue-faced Zephelium, the administrators and directors of the lower-ranking subspecies of Zeta. In recent times, the Zeta races began interacting with Earth around World War I, and by World War II, they had established covert treaties with both the Nazi and the Allied governments, through which they were entitled to abduction experimentation rights on the unwitting public in exchange for their weapons technologies. Since the 1980s, the Zeta have joined forces with their ancient adversaries, the Dracos, a reptilian hybrid race whose ancestry is also traced to the Orion star system. Both the Zeta and the Draco races share a common hidden objective of claiming sovereignty over the territories of Earth. So before anyone in the CIA or whatever the hell tries to come for me, you can't, because I'm just relaying information from a book. A book. So go away. So this is what the author deems the intruders. So top to bottom, Syrian Anunnaki, Dracos, Cephalium, Zeta Gray Rigilian, and Rutilia, which is a Zeta and Draco's hybrid, or EBE, extraterrestrial biological entity, that we've known from Melinda Howe's, is it Melinda? Linda Howe's book, Glimpses of Other Realities. So this is the intruders according to the author. If you want to screenshot that. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys have encountered these beings too. And then these right here are the guardians. So top to bottom, Zionite, Athean, Lyran Syrian Elder, Coventilier Turanusium. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Hybrid Zionite, human. Jonathan, one of the priests of Draylov, and Amara, Zeta Gray, and also a Kiana. These names are very difficult to pronounce. So these are the opposite of the intruders. These are the guardians. These are the higher vibrational ones, apparently. You want to screenshot that too. Okay. So now, I didn't realize my finger was there. Okay. So back to reading directly from the notes. The Zeta mind was exploring methods by which they could break through the dimensional lock system, hoping to expand their reality and knowledge by consuming or draining energy from parallel and adjacent versions of their own planet and combining these reality fields with their own. They had mastered the three-dimensional time portal system and wanted to expand their territory. They did not realize, however, that using the methods they employed would destabilize the time portals and dimensional bands of their own system. They were partially successful in blending dimensions in their world, but they did not realize the consequences of these actions until it was too late. You guys, pause really quick. I have to say that this is one of the new things that I learned in this book. Like, a lot of these spiritual books, a lot of these 18 spiritual books are like repeating the same thing, because I've kind of already like integrated it and ingrained it into my soul, like what I know. And so I feel like a lot of it is repeat. This, what I'm about to tell you, this kind of already knew about it, but I didn't really know about the dimensional blending that much. But the dimensional blending part is what I really like, was like in shock, because I really see us doing that. And so maybe that's why it came as a shock or like a fear, but just listen. The Zeta did not originally possess the small gray forms that you have come to know. This form resulted from a mutation in their genetic code caused by the frequency blending to which they had subjected themselves. This mutation intensified over numerous generations, the form weakening, losing strength and agility, losing power, until the time came when they could no longer tolerate the atmospheric conditions of the planetary home for which they had been intended. The original Zeta prototype was a larger, white-colored being possessing bilateral symmetry and having certain characteristics resembling those of the early human, but with a greater number of appendages. The wide variety of Zeta forms now existing are the result of uncountable genetic experiments. There are many similarities between your Earth reptiles and the original Zeta form, particularly those of the early reptiles that roamed the Earth. As each successive generation paired, they progressively lost the ability to naturally procreate their species. They became genetically neutered. The dimensional merger that they had forced also caused irreparable damage to their planetary structure. They had set in motion the death of their planet and its dimensional counterparts. And this is one of the reasons why they help us with nuclear bombs and nuclear testing and all that stuff. They turn them off. And I know you've heard stories of them turning them off because they turn them off. And a lot of credible witnesses have seen this happen. And it's the truth, and you just don't want to believe it, and that's fine. But there's no negating of what actually happened. They know that once these things happen, it ripples into the space-time continuum. Like, literally, where do you think Marvel and DC and all these other authors like get these ideas from? Because it is based on truth, but it's like so recessed in our subconscious mind that it's just fantasy to us, but we hold a connection to it for a reason. These events, from the perspective of your time continuum, are occurring in what you would perceive as your future. The Zeta then have gone back in time to your time continuum and others in hope of finding answers and solutions to their dilemma. Part of their own time portal system collapsed because of these events, so they are unable to access their own portals directly. They cannot thus access the past of their planet before the destruction as they had originally hoped. The Zeta entered your time continuum because of the proximity of Earth's time portals to their own, and also because the Earth has certain environmental elements the Zeta need for survival: oxygen-based air systems, water systems, and the presence of elements such as zinc, plutonium, and iron-based minerals. However, the carbons in your environment proved to be toxic to the Zeta, and those interacting with your system found themselves in accelerated states of deterioration. All within the time matrix grid is interconnected, and when a planet or galaxy is blown off the grid, a hole is left within the grid fabric. This hole affects everything within the area of activity surrounding the hole, as energy flowing around the broken grid lines hits blank spots or breaks in the pattern. The grid lines within the time matrix represent time continua, or passageways of linear time sequencing. When energy approaches the hole in the fabric of the time matrix, it is magnetically pulled into the hole. Once it enters the hole, the time sequence organization that it originally carried as part of the time matrix becomes scrambled, and the energy is no longer able to re-enter the time matrix from the position in which it first entered the hole. This energy can take the form of an individual in biological form, a personal soul matrix or soul, a planet or galaxy, or the entire galactic soul matrix. When one element from within a given time continuum enters the whole, its own sequential program will serve as a beacon for all other energies possessing that particular coding. This beacon not only broadcasts its signal back into the time matrix through its electrical particles, which act as transmitters, but it also begins to draw in like energy through its magnetic particles, which act as magnetic receivers. The element lost within the hole then pulls in more and more energy from its home system. The holes we are referring to are, of course, the phenomena that you describe as black holes. Through the manipulation, I think this is a whole different thing, but through the manipulation of sound wave patterns and cycles, many things can be created, for the energy you identify as sound serves as the glue that holds together matter patterns within the time matrix. Those who are adept at manipulating sound have great power at their disposal, much greater than you can imagine. Sound directs matter, and thus anything cloaked in matter can be directly influenced by sound. The human DNA functions within a very specific pattern or frequency. This frequency directs all the body's processes, and thus the type and range of perception that can be experienced through that biological organism. If one desired to direct the focus of human perception, a knowledge of sound genetics would be needed. We have previously referred to these sound genetics as the language of energy, light, and sound, or the language of Kailanta. Sound genetics are part of this language, and they have great bearing upon the human condition. Okay, next subject. Combining certain strains of reptilian life present upon your planet, they integrated their own present upon your planet, they integrated their own coding into these hybrids. Your dinosaurs were originally vegetarian and quite docile in temperament. Through the Dracon experiments, hybrids were created, carrying the more aggressive tendencies of that race. These were the original prototypes of your carnivorous reptiles. The Dracon used their reptilian hybrids to monitor human development from their home system. About 1 million years ago, when the Dracon had gained enough information through these observations they began mutating captured humans, seeding the women through rather painful inductions carried out during their frequent visitations. The hybrids that resulted were not what the Dracon had hoped for, as they could not survive within the Earth environment and had to be taken to the Dracon home planet. The Dracon human hybrids are known as the Draco-Serptilian race. Through experimentation upon these hybrid creatures, the Dracon were able to access some of the Kaelonta code particles that held in place the original human frequency fence. They poked holes in the existing fence, having no idea of the potential results of their actions, which began a process of information leakage from the host soul matrices. The human mind and body were not yet mature enough to assimilate these code fragments effectively, and the fragments began to set in motion activation of the stored original soul matrix codes. This created havoc within the developing human biology as a resurgence of the ghost cellular imprints began. It was during these times that the aforementioned Psionites, or the time-traveling Zeta-human Athean hybrid from the future, first intervened in hope of accelerating the biological evolution of the species by creating hybrids among a select group of humans. These humans were chosen randomly throughout the 12 tribes and were imbued with the silicate matrix from the Zionite code. This allowed them to synthesize, through a course of several generations, the host matrix code patterns that had leaked through the holes in the frequency fence. During this time, the humans were taught the technologies needed for them to begin their migration underground in preparation for the Dracon Presence extermination program that was scheduled to take place. If you guys want to, like if you guys love these videos, I recommend reading, well, that too, but I recommend watching my 2-part videos on DNA and the Sands of Time. I have it in my channel, part 1 and part 2. You have to watch it. If you don't want to watch it, then buy the book, read the book. I don't know if I put the link or if I mentioned the link of it in the video, but you have to read that book. Like, that book is so good. It's like literally like this vibe. To create mass holographic inserts, which is like holographic realities. To create mass holographic inserts, the Zeta have to create a frequency fence by manipulating the Kaelonta codes within the human DNA using sound that blocks out the higher and lower frequency bands, sealing in the human perceptual range to the frequency bands used in the insert, thus disengaging the individual's ability to translate soul matrix data through the body and into conscious awareness. That paragraph basically was just saying that that's how they trick you into believing the holographic hallucinations or holographic realities that they project in the sky or onto you, into your 3-dimensional realm, by blocking certain cells in your brain and using like frequencies, literally. Also, crop formations are not created through the use of mechanical devices, nor are most of them formed through laser-like technologies. The majority of these formations are created through direct manipulation of subatomic energy imprints, whereas the designs emerge as part of the organic air-land pattern of the particular geography. They are cast, so to speak, within the electromagnetic imprint of the organic element as a result of intended multidimensional manipulations carried out by visitors. Crop formations have multiple purposes. Their primary purpose is to house frequency or to ground into the location certain frequency bands intended to affect the populace in very specific ways. They are composed of frequency patterns, and they directly affect the frequency patterns of all biological life forms within their intended range of influence. This range can span a radius well over several thousand miles from its point of origin. The formations are often placed in sequential fashion, sometimes thousands of miles apart, but each serving as part of a greater frequency pattern that is nearly impossible to detect from ground-level human perception. Crop formations are your first visible physical evidence of ET presence presently available to you on a mass level. They are subliminal programming devices being used to manipulate, direct, or guide you through the intimate unknown structures of your subconscious mind and biochemical and electrical systems. They are one type of what we know as frequency control devices. I love this one. When people can lead themselves, they do not need leaders. Whole different subject. And when people can heal themselves, and when people can heal themselves, sorry, I just got a text. They do not need healers. When people realize that God exists within them and that they exist within that force, they will not need others to save them. I 100% believe that. I 100% believe that, you guys. I felt like this was so important to include this part right here because I just feel like it's so important. Your mainstream program tells you, Your mainstream program tells you that everywhere you are helpless and victimized by forces beyond your control, that the world is a harsh and cruel place of limited resources for which you must compete, that your bodies are vulnerable and unable to protect themselves against disease, that humanity is chaotic or sinful, and human nature cannot be trusted. You are trained to believe through constant repetition and reinforcement that there is not enough, and that you must always need more, and that you are not enough. Not pretty enough or smart enough, strong enough, fast enough, powerful enough, wealthy enough, or good enough. You are taught, just as your parents had been, to believe that you are only what exists between the top of your head and the tip of your toes. You are trained to doubt the self, fear the self, punish the self, and to place your trust in authorities or experts that exist outside of you. You are taught to long for, but be afraid of power, and to fear your ability to handle it wisely. Emotion is power. And so it is expected that within this program, you are taught to invalidate and repress emotional cognition. The intuitions and higher senses give you direct access to greater power and knowledge, and you are taught to negate fear, devalue, disown, and discredit intuitive perception and knowledge. Does it sound like this official mainstream program is designed to help you to become empowered or free? You are programmed to believe that what is on the outside is more important than what is on the inside, and to continually distract yourselves with the more important external aspects of reality. Does your mainstream program encourage you to look within for answers, to discover your own innate power to create change, or to spend time exploring the vast, uncharted frontier that exists between your ears? The average American is far too busy, overburdened, or distracted to take the time to explore the self. I love that. I had to share that with you guys. Okay, next subject. The mind is an attribute. Hold on, let me go back to the way I was positioned because that's better. The mind is an attribute of consciousness. The mind does not produce consciousness. Consciousness is not a product of mind, but rather the mind is a structure of energy that consciousness creates and uses in order to participate within realities that have their basis in differentiated perception. Perception itself is an attribute of consciousness and mind. It is a product of consciousness using the facilities and structures of mind. The mind is the portion of your identity that allows you to experience individuality. The mind exists as a large conglomerate of electromagnetic energy units called partiki, which span multiple dimensional fields. Consciousness itself does not possess form other than the units of electrotonal energy of which it is composed, partiki, but consciousness uses form, constructions such as the mind, to create the experience of differentiated perception. The form construction of the mind is created through organized groupings of partiki units or electronal units of consciousness. The subconscious mind is composed of partiki units and kalons. It exists as a minute crystalline blueprint within the cellular structure of the body and serves as a memory storage facility and regulator of the body's autonomic processes. Memory is stored within the cells and kalon codes of the entire body, not just within the brain. The biological memory of the subconscious mind is called cellular memory. The subconscious mind is the portion of your personal identity that manifests as the physical body form and the crystalline blueprint within the molecular structure. It represents the body consciousness. It is this portion of identity that is accessed when using techniques such as hypnosis. The subconscious mind translates energy signatures from the dimensional unified fields of energy into perceptual data such as light, sound, taste, smell, touch, temperature, objectified form, and linear passage through time. Working co-creatively with the other components of mind, the subconscious mind creates the holographic illusion of three-dimensional matter, objectified space, and linear passage through time. Kalantic symbol codes are the languages of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind translates thoughts, ideas, and beliefs into Kalantic symbol codes of light, sound, and electromagnetic standing wave patterns that direct the morphogenetic Kalan structure of the body. So then, thoughts will thus affect the health or disease of the body, as their biological Kalantic translations will either assist or impede the flow of energy between the body, the personality, and the soul matrix. The reasoning mind can use Kalantic symbol codes to direct the processes of the subconscious mind and body and to assess information stored within cellular memory. To access. The subconscious mind is primarily associated with frequency bands of D1, the physical body, the first DNA strand, the base chakra, and the etheric body. Okay, 3 more paragraphs, you guys. All humans can reverse, mutate DNA template distortions and bring dormant DNA template potentials into activation through self-generated DNA bioregenesis technologies, through which the 12-strand DNA angelic human potential can be progressively restored and reactivated within the operational DNA. This is precisely what visiting fallen angelic legions do not want contemporary humanity to accomplish. Oh my gosh. It's just so much. It's just so much. I remember my brain like exploding when I was reading this stuff. Okay. 2 more paragraphs. This one's really good. Jeshua Sananda Melchizedek, aka Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was not crucified and did not die. Jeshua, or Jesus, ascended through the Ark of the Covenant passage via Sirius B, Stargate 6 in 27 AD. Following completion of translations of parts of the Founders' Maharata Inner Christ spiritual science text, and after fathering a new, revitalized Ayani Christiaic angelic human grail line on earth. The story of Christ's crucifixion was staged by the Anu Elohim. In 325 AD, the remnants of Jeshua's Melchizedek, cloister Inner Christ teachings and the history of his family line were edited and distorted by the Council of Nicaea and the Church of Rome in their assembly of the book that became the canonized Bible. The Council of Nicaea distorted the remaining Essene true Inner Christ teachings into a fear-based control dogma intended to uplift the political cause of the Roman Empire to world dominion. Okay. Last paragraph, you guys. Last paragraph. I'm so tired of reading. It's so crazy how fast I get tired of talking. I'm telling you, I think this just, the energy is just like so dense. It's so like densely packed with like information that it's just like, whew, I'm already like exhausted for the day, to be honest. Okay. 1 more paragraph, you guys. Watch this video as many times as you need, as many times until you get into your cellular memory that you can do this. If humanity can reawaken the dormant angelic human DNA template, the human body can biologically interface with the electromagnetic functions of Earth's planetary Templar Stargate system, as it was originally designed to do. In actualizing the angelic human potential, humans will not only set themselves free, but could also assist guardian angelic nations in setting Earth free by securing Earth's halls of Amenti and regaining the sun's D4 soul Stargate 4 under guardian nation protection. The teachings of Jeshua or Jesus, like those of so many Magi Azurline priests of Ur before him, were rapidly distorted and destroyed by human power elite organizations operating under fallen angelic legion influence. The true historical story of Jeshua or Jesus was twisted, edited, literally rewritten, and used by factions of both Anu Elohim, Anunnaki, and Draconian Seraphim fallen angelic legions, and their human puppets, to promote a control dogma of external Father God worship. The intention behind this manipulation of truth was to bury the real truth that Jeshua Jesus had provided and to literally set humanity up for the big party that the fallen angelic legions had planned for the days of the final conflict. That is all, you guys. Read the book, rewatch this video, and just read the book. Take it or leave it. I don't care. Just hear the words. I don't believe every single thing that I just read, but it is very important to grasp and understand what could be true and what could not be true of what we've been taught. So just use your multidimensional brain and not your physical brain only, because clearly that's not been working. So use your multidimensional brain and digest this information.